respecting our neighbors and respecting all people. My dad worked in ag fertilizer sales. My mom helped people paint and remodel their homes, and they both worked really hard to make sure my sister and I had the values and opportunities we needed to succeed in life. They encouraged us early in life to get jobs, and I had my share of those, including delivering the Des Moines Register every morning for 6 years, working as a farmhand, baling hay, walking beans, picking up rocks. You know the drill, most of you do. Helping at a grain elevator. I was a plumbing and electrical contractor assistant. I was a lifeguard and a swim instructor during my middle school and high school years. When I was accepted into Yale University, the challenges were many. It wasn't just the demands of the coursework, but the cost of tuition required me to have to work at several jobs to help pay the bills. I did that by managing the gymnasium, working security, and driving a delivery truck. After graduation, I set out into the business world. I was very fortunate that a Fortune 50 company, Procter & Gamble, gave me an opportunity to help manage some very valuable brands, including Crest and Vicks. I worked hard, I learned a lot. Then I went to work for Microsoft, and I learned a lot there too about making smart investments, about creating good jobs, building successful teams, treating employees with dignity, and about always keeping the budgets in line and balancing the books. I did work on the global launch of the Xbox gaming system and various game titles for it. And for any younger folks in the room and gamers in the room, yes, it was very cool. But during these years, I also did something much more important than anything I could ever do in the business world. I met, fell in love with, and got married to a wonderful woman from Sioux Falls. And I'd like to take a moment now just to introduce my wife and my best friend, Sarah. So it was when Sarah and I looked at starting a family that we knew there was only one place for us and for them. That is why we decided to take the chance 5 years ago to come back home and help with the growing family business started by Sarah's father. During that time, I worked as part of the senior leadership team at Bell Incorporated here in Sioux Falls, and recently in April, I was named the Chief Operating Officer. Bell is one of the country's leading paperboard packaging manufacturers. We manufacture packaging for companies like McDonald's, General Electric, the United States Postal Service, and UPS. A lot of people are surprised when they hear that a relatively small company in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, is being counted on by so many of the world's leading corporations. I'm not. To me, we can replicate the success of Bell Incorporated in cities and in towns all across South Dakota. And as your Lieutenant Governor, I will make that happen. And I should also say that Sarah and I have been blessed with 2 terrific children. Some of you may have met Fletcher last night. He's 5. He was the one that got to say play ball after we threw out the first pitch. And Finley is 2, and we are truly elated that we were able to raise them here in South Dakota. So when Scott asked me to join the ticket, I had a fair amount of anxiety. At 36 years old, some people would say I'm too young. And some people would say that where I live in Lincoln County is way too close to Sioux Falls. Well, there isn't anything I can do about my age, and frankly, I've been told repeatedly out there on the trail that some new young blood in Pierre looks to be a very good thing, not a bad thing. And we love Lincoln County, but in truth, it could just as easily be Gregory, or Meade, or Spink, or Brown County. Our values and our dreams are very much the same as those of South Dakotans everywhere. Now let me tell you about a few of my beliefs and a few of the reasons I'm so passionate about this. I believe it is wrong for Denny Daugaard and Republicans in Pierre to give $38 million to a foreign oil company to build a pipeline under South Dakota, a pipeline they were going to build anyway, with or without our tax dollars, while they cut education by $3.8 million. And I believe it is wrong that Denny Daugaard and Republicans in Pierre gave hundreds of state contracts worth tens of millions of dollars to companies without bidding on them to get the best price. And I believe it is wrong that the companies that get these no-bid contracts too often turn around and write a big campaign check to the Republicans who gave them the contract in the first place. And I believe it's wrong that the Republicans in Pierre voted against a Bill of Rights for the deaf. How does that make sense? I believe it is wrong that Denny Daugaard and the Republicans in Pierre chose to close the Black Hills Playhouse, but saw to it that the governor's summer mansion just up the road from the Playhouse was refurbished. I believe that it is wrong that Denny Daugaard and the Republicans in Pierre raised college tuition, that they opposed a needs-based scholarship program for college students, that they eliminated pre-kindergarten education, that they need 10 airplanes, a $200,000 a year federal lobbyist, or that they needed to hire a full-time state employee every 48 hours for the past 8 years. I believe it is wrong that Denny Daugaard and Matt Michaels and the Republicans in Pierre grew the size of government by 53% in just 7 years. And they gave us the largest budget deficit in the state's history. They submitted 7 of 8 budgets that were in deficit, and then when asked about it, Denny Daugaard said, "We have no budget crisis." Well, Lieutenant Governor Daugaard, as a businessman who knows how to create jobs and knows how to balance budgets, if you were the second in charge of my company with results like that, you'd be fired. And that's exactly what we stand to do on November 2nd. I believe it is wrong that the Republicans in Pierre wink and nod as they tell South Dakotans that they haven't raised taxes. They have raised taxes, and they've raised a ton of fees. They've either raised or tried to raise fees on beer licenses, restaurant licenses, hotel health licenses, on milk plants, on dairy farmers, on motor vehicles, on livestock inspections, on veterinary technicians, vehicle dealers, campgrounds, coin-operated washers and dryers, little boys and girls who carry newspapers, on llama farmers, on Little League umpires, and even on rodeo clowns. The list goes on and on. Is there a small business or small group that they haven't picked on? And finally, let me tell you that I think it is wrong for Denny Daugaard and his running mate Matt Michaels to oppose a woman's right to choose. It is particularly wrong that Mr. Michaels sponsored the 2006 amendment to the South Dakota Constitution that would have banned abortion in South Dakota with no exceptions. These are some of the things that I will stand for and I will fight for in this campaign and as your next Lieutenant Governor. And I think it is a lot of what you stand for too. It is also what tens of thousands of South Dakota Republicans and independent voters stand for as well. And let me tell Dennis Daugaard and Matt Michaels something. Scott Heideprim and I are going to go out there, we're going to get those Republican and independent voters and get them to vote for us on November 2nd. And in doing so, we'll usher in a new era of open, honest, and accountable government that provides opportunity for all South Dakotans. And finally, let me close with this. While public service as a candidate may be new to me, the belief that we all have to fight for a better world is not. The belief that government competence trumps government corruption every time is not.